Wap, wap, wap. We here. We up in here.
Up in his base.
Ain't nobody watching, but that's all right.
You'll watch.
So we're here to do some business.
You will watch.
We're gonna take care of some business.
Business. I like it.
Bull body. Bull body.
Bull body.
What are we doing here? We're making acronyms. What happened here? I lost my notes. Talking about wrestlers who were also athletes elsewhere before wrestling, or just at any point?
Just at any point, really.
Are there a lot of people that become athletes elsewhere after wrestling?
I mean, Lesnar did it.
That's true.
Lesnar did his UFC career.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
And I guess CM Punk would technically fall in that same category.
Yeah.
For his 2 terrible fights.
Yeah. He got really hurt.
He got torn up.
You can see the very sadistic. Well, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, okay. Let's go ahead and start recording.
It's not a good podcast. It's not a bad podcast. It's the 2 Words Podcast. I am your host, John Berkey, and with me, as always, the cream of the crop, Radio Matt.
What?
Today, we have a fun show because our 2 words are real athletes. And if you're not watching on our Twitch channel, I just did air quotes because I think the professional wrestlers are real athletes.
Boom. Eat it.
But we're taking a look at the divine instance when the wrestling world meets the so-called real world. But first, we got some news. What's going on? That's been special to you, Matt.
Okay, well, Becky Lynch clarified that the terrible SummerSlam return match against Belair that lasted all of 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Once it got started, was supposed to tick everybody off so they could build a longer storyline with Belair.
Sure. That's like that guy. So there was the Stanford prison experiment, and one of the guards who went way too far because that only lasted like a week.
Yeah,
it didn't even. I don't think it lasted the weekend. But they did an interview. They did an exit interview with one of the guys who was the guards and was like, "I was conducting my own experiment to see how far you'd let me go." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, sure, bud, sure.
I'm the hero here.
I'm the hero here. Yeah, no, we meant to do that. It was supposed to get into your minds, make you think." Saving face. That's all that is.
Yeah. We're going back and forth here.
Sure.
Right.
Rhea Ripley tweeted out on Monday that if anyone sees a black gear bag on the corner of Montano Boulevard and Office Road in Albuquerque, New Mexico, that it contains all of her gear and her title belt.
I didn't know it happened in Albuquerque.
And she would like it to be returned. And I just have one very sad thing to tell you, Rhea. It's gone.
Nope. Yeah.
It's out of there. It was before you tweeted out, it had already been sold for drug money and or other explicit services I'm not allowed to talk about.
Absolutely. Albuquerque 100%. Lived there for 3 years. Just gotten worse since then.
It was probably sold before she got on the plane.
Absolutely. Yeah. No. But, best case scenario, it was already on eBay before she touched down.
But then
that's best case.
Like the funniest thing to me about it is that she needed gear for another show like in El Paso. And Damian Priest was like, "Will these pants fit you?" And she's like, "Yeah, they do. They do actually fit." So fun fact, Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley have the same inseam. So
MJF said in a kayfabe interview that his contract will be up in a few years, like I think 4 or 5 years. And if Tony Khan doesn't up his pay by then, he might go to the other guys, quote unquote, which was an obvious in-character, big-headed line. But it was reported as headline news by several wrestling news sites of MJF is thinking about going to WWE. No,
that's what they did. That's what those wrestling guys do.
Guys.
Like
4 years from now, guys. Nah.
4 years. He's thinking about a decision. 4 years. We'll see what happens.
If I don't get that extra $20 a show, I'm out.
All these wrestling news guys.
Well, I follow a lot of them who seem to be genuine and don't do clickbait all the time. And this one just got through everybody. Everybody picked up as like, oh, is he really? No. Clearly. Did you watch the segment? No.
And the worst one to me ever was there's an article that kept popping up that was like, Shawn Michaels says him and Undertaker were never friends.
Right.
And then it gets into the interview and it's like, yeah, we just never like rode in cars together.
Yeah,
we weren't like besties.
We didn't hate each other. We just weren't close. We weren't friends.
Real close. Yeah, we're never friends, and they hated each other. And Shawn Michaels stole Undertaker's first child and sacrificed him off a cliff.
That's what it sounded like.
That's exactly what it sounded like. AEW ratings. Tony Khan is boasting about winning like 15 minutes. He's like, yeah, we won the last 15 minutes of SmackDown.
It was like a very specific, and it wasn't even for like all the ratings. It was just like a very specific subset of the ratings. But
I guess that's what you got to do.
Well, I mean, I don't understand why. Like Tony Khan had this before all that stuff happened. Tony Khan had this air about him, like we're gonna do this, we're gonna do it better, and we're gonna let them do or say what they want. And then this thing happened, and he just like got on the internet and went nuts and like, you want to know? You know what? Okay, all right, we're gonna take it. We're gonna beat. Why? What are you doing? Why are you going nuts right now? We already liked you. Don't make us hate you. Stop that.
We don't hate you, Tony Khan.
Well, that's good. We're inching that way. Speaking of Tony Khan, he did clarify in an interview this week that the whole EVP, the executive vice, whatever thing, what does the P stand for? President. I almost said principal, and so I know that was wrong, and so I stopped myself. But he clarified that they actually really haven't been writing their own story since late 2019.
Oh, wow.
He said the story really made it sound like this was like a recent demotion or something, but it's really been that way for the majority of AEW's tenure on TV. But he says that he's in close contact with over 100 people who help him formulate the stories and everything. He just likes to have like he puts it all together. He compiles it into a show. So he's the writer, quote unquote.
Yeah, well, there has to be like one dude.
Yeah. And so that's what it is. That's all it is, he says.
Because that makes everything continue, and it's
right.
It's good.
So anyone who was afraid that this was like oh no, Tony Khan's turning into the next Vince McMahon, just wants everything in his pocket. No, this is how it's been going. Everything that you've loved about AEW so far, it's been this way. So
yeah.
It's all good.
Give me something else.
Okay, this is my last one I have. Alexa Bliss has posted a GIF on her Twitter of her darker persona morphing back into her normal goddess persona, potentially teasing that we're getting old Alexa when she returns, which I sincerely hope is the case.
Good. Yeah, good. Because especially without the Fiend, what is she doing?
Yeah, what's the point? What is even the point? And if I have to see that, I don't have to see that stupid doll. If they pull some sort of stupid resurrection of that dumb doll storyline, I'm done. I'm walking away.
I hate it. Amanda Huber is All Elite, wife of the late John Huber, better known as Brody Lee, better known as Luke Harper.
Broder known as.
Yeah, she tweeted out.
Is she a wrestler?
No.
Oh, okay.
She's going to be working. It looks like she's going to be working with like community outreach and that sort of stuff.
Oh, okay. The Titus O'Neil role.
Kind of like that. Yeah. So cool. That's good for AEW getting them all involved, and she has a real job. It's not just like Amanda Huber's All Elite because her husband worked for us.
No, I think that's beautiful.
And then a complaint that I have. Dante Martin and Leo Rush are now a tag team, which doesn't make any sense because Dante Martin was sold to us as a tag team with his brother Marcus as Top Flight. And it's been like a year. And I know that Marcus got injured, but like
Is he still out and injured?
Yeah, but like Leo Rush, they were doing their backstage stuff, and Leo Rush was like, "From this moment forward, I'm Dante Martin's tag team partner."
You know, it could be setting up for a storyline.
Maybe.
When the brother makes the return.
Maybe.
Some jealous thing. You don't know.
Jealous.
But
you're just jealous of my gift.
But who knows?
But like Leo Rush looks good. He's talking good. He's got some stuff going good. He's wrestling good. Like everything's good.
I'm excited to see him back there.
Yeah.
Speaking of Leo Rush, I know that Josiah Williams was pretty close with him in the WWE.
Yeah.
And I really hope Josiah Williams gets picked up by AEW.
Didn't Josiah Williams write?
He's done a couple of the songs.
Yeah, Sean Spears, I know.
Yeah, did Sean Spears' but there's another one that he's on too. I don't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, they need to just get him in there. Get him in there somewhere.
Pick up our boy Josiah Williams. Well, that's all the news we got. When we come back, we're going to be talking about everybody's favorite Thursday morning pay-per-view. Stay tuned.
Oh, you know what? It was actually pretty convenient.
Not
maybe for the first time. Maybe for the first time ever, it was pretty convenient for me to watch it today. All right.
And welcome back to the Two Words Podcast. Today we're talking about real athletes, but first we had a little bit of a mid-morning pay-per-view.
Yeah, day of as we're recording this. It was this morning.
It was this morning. Everybody's favorite Thursday morning pay-per-view, Crown Jewel, aired this morning or Thursday, whatever day you're listening to it. And I did not get to watch it because I have a job.
I have a job.
Everybody else just had a job you didn't have to do at that point. So I tried to watch it when I got off of work, and I got 2 matches into it because the Seth Rollins Edge match it was like a 45-minute match.
It's pretty long, yeah. The Crown Jewel pay-per-view, or all of the Saudi Arabia pay-per-views, have always been like an hour longer than most pay-per-views here, at least. Like they really cram a lot into it.
Yeah.
But I did watch the entire thing, so I'm just going to give you a rundown. But here's the headline. You ready? Headline: nothing terrible happened.
Yay! It's a Christmas miracle!
So first off, maybe my favorite part of the whole thing is that Peacock finally has live controls for the pay-per-view. You can pause, you can rewind, you can
fantastic.
Start, from the beginning or start from wherever you jump in. It's great. So we had the pre-show Usos versus the Hurt Business. Usos win in a technically fine match. Nothing really special, but a good warm-up match for the crowd as they were still coming in.
Are they still calling themselves the Hurt Business?
They came out as the Hurt Business.
But are they with?
They are.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's just started, but they're back.
They're back,
and it's
better
great
than ever.
Like you said, the Hell in a Cell Edge versus Rollins match, impressive fight. Lots of painful looking spots. Rollins bombs Edge from the top of the ladder through a table. Rollins wrapped chain around his foot and super kicked Edge. Edge does a curb stomp onto a chair for the win. I mean, it's just...
That was a good story, too. Like, they really laid all that story out. I wish they had done it at a different pay-per-view, honestly.
Sure. But this did give them the time.
Yeah.
This gave them the time to have a really good finale.
Definitely.
So that was great. Great ending to the trilogy, I think. Then they had the Mansoor versus Mustafa Ali match.
Which is your token.
So
match.
they came out shouting angrily at each other. Which, as we noted when we talked about this before, is that they were a tag team all of a minute and a half ago. What was silly is how fanboyed Mansoor was. Like, they were talking about how it was such a big deal that he has this marquee match at Crown Jewel, but that happens every Saudi Arabia show. It's not like this is a new thing.
And with him,
right?
Like, he's the only.
It's always him.
It's always him. He knows. He's like the Undertaker of Saudi Arabia.
If what has happened every time we've had a Saudi Arabian show happens, he'll be off TV for 95% of the next year until it's about time for Crown Jewel to roll around again. But anyway, they cast Mustafa as the obvious favorite to win. and Mansoor's the underdog, and told a pretty good story in the match. Mansoor overcoming the odds. Had this been the first match you'd ever seen with these two, you'd have bought it. That's what I'll say.
Yeah.
But, if you've been watching this for a while, then you just kind of knew this was coming. It was fan service match.
Yeah, it was definitely fan service, especially noted by the end where Tarek Hamdi came out in his karate gi and knocked his foot up the side of Mustafa Ali's head, like popped him. It was sick. He was a black Chuck Norris up there, just pow.
Yeah, so that was fun, but yeah, I mean, clearly fan service for Saudi Arabia, but still, it wasn't bad. It wasn't like go pee match, it was good enough to watch. RK Bro versus AJ and Almos. Riddle rode a camel to the ring.
Obviously.
So that happened. Match was the same standard match that these two teams have had a bunch. Still impressive, entertaining, just nothing new. Then we had the Queen's Crown, the female King of the Ring, which, first of all, I didn't really realize when they had announced that they were doing a King of the Ring in the Queen's Crown tournament that it was going to end in Saudi Arabia at Crown Jewel, but I think that actually makes pretty good sense.
Makes a little bit of sense.
And that's a way to have it be an important thing, still ending on a pay-per-view without having to do a full King of the Ring pay-per-view.
Yeah,
I liked this idea.
I can believe that.
Yeah,
I can make that work.
So Zelina Vega versus Dewdrop, back and forth kind of match. It was really quick. Had a kind of surprising finisher where Zelina Vega did an impressive flipping power bomb on Dewdrop. Look, flipped her a good 180 in the air.
Which is a big size disparage.
Right. Because she's also very short and little.
Yeah, she's very small.
Yeah. But it was too quick of a match. It could have gone on longer. Could have had more impressive spots. But
I just think for your first Queen of the Ring, and it's a match between Dewdrop and Zelina Vega.
Right. Yeah. I mean, but I would have been more upset if it was one of the five women that are always doing everything,
I guess.
And I'm fine with Zelina. So what was funny is it was awkward because there was nobody there to put the crown and the cape on her. Instead, she just had to do it all herself, and she couldn't get the cape on, so she just wound up throwing it over her shoulder like a sash. And so that was strange. And this theme continued later. We'll talk about that. So Bobby Lashley versus Goldberg was next. No holds barred match. Big spot after spot match. It was actually pretty impressive. Might have been Goldberg's best performance in a long while. Ended with a great spear off the ramp and a pile of tables for the win. There was a bad kendo stick spot with the Hurt Business. Hurt Business came out. Tossed a kendo stick. They were on the ramp. Tossed a kendo stick to Bobby Lashley. They both had kendo sticks. Both of the Hurt Business tag team ran up individually to attack Goldberg. Neither of them swung the kendo stick. They just kind of like ran towards him and let him hit him. And so he did that, and Goldberg picked up one of the kendo sticks. And so now it's just the two team, the Hurt Business are down. It's just Bobby Lashley and Goldberg. And Goldberg's running towards Bobby Lashley, and Bobby Lashley puts the kendo stick up in the air like he's going to swing it down on him. Goldberg is swinging up like an uppercut, but it gets caught on the ramp, and it's like slowly, and then swings up and hits him. But that gives a solid, like, what felt like 5 seconds of Bobby Lashley just holding this over his head and not swinging it at Goldberg. So all three of them did not attack him with the kendo sticks.
The Hurt Business running at Goldberg and just to get hit. Like, that happened to me one time at VBS.
Yeah.
Because I was just walking around after I'd gotten done with my volunteer portion, and the guys running the games were like, "Hey, come play this game with these kids." And the game was they like paper clipped or clothespin a balloon to your thing, and you had to make sure nobody knocked off your balloon while also knocking off other people's balloons.
Okay.
And all of these like sixth graders, like everybody's like, "Oh, John, you were being so mean and like really taking the game too serious." I'm like, I literally stood there while sixth graders ran into my chest and just fell on the ground. I don't know what you want me to do.
That's what this felt like. So it was one weird spot, but the rest of the match was actually pretty decent. Let's see. Next up was the King of the Ring match. Finn Balor versus Xavier Woods. Kind of a quick match also. Not as quick as the Queen's Crown one, but still pretty quick. But it was technically proficient. Very good spots back and forth. Both pretty evenly matched until the final spot. Limit breaker elbow from halfway across the ring. Xavier takes a spot, which was the right call, I think, story-wise.
King Woods,
man. Same issue with the cape. Nobody there to help put it on. Xavier wound up just carrying it at first, and then he tried to put it back on. He's like, I gotta get right. And he puts it on, and it still falls off. He's like, never mind, I'll get it later. He started yelling at the camera, playing around with him, like, I'm the king now. You go to whichever camera I say you go to. It was really funny.
That's great.
But yeah, it was fantastic. WWE Championship match after that, Big E versus McIntyre, face versus face, which is always kind of weird, but kind of fun. Both came in with bravado and respectful contempt. It was a solid meat on meat match, just slapping and smacking and throwing. Both were made to look amazing. Big spots, false finishes aplenty, really good match. Big E retains, but show of respect to both afterwards. It was good. It was nice. It was a heartwarming, entertaining match. Then we had the Bex versus Banks versus Belair match for the SmackDown Women's Championship. This was a funny, quick, and surprising match. Like, I very much enjoyed it. There was a great moment where Bex was going to jump on both opponents from the turnbuckle, and they decided to catch her. And then she tries to, like, nuzzle heads with both of them. Like, no, we're friends. We're friends. Don't hurt me. We're friends, please. And they throw her into the turnbuckle. It was very funny. Lots of feats of strength in this one. Snarky uses a sneaky use of ropes to pin Banks at the end, but it counts because it's a triple threat match. So it was good. Everybody retains pretty much, in the whole show, but it was still really good. Universal Champ, Roman versus Brock. Did Lesnar shrink or did Roman grow? Because they are almost the same size now.
Lesnar looks smaller.
He does, but like his entire body. Not like he's less muscular. Because looking at him in the pay per view, no, he looks exactly like he always did. It just looks like it looks like he raisined up a bit. But anyway, they both looked very intimidating in this match together.
The weird, like, top knot ponytail is growing on me.
Yeah, same here. Absolutely. Lots of huge spots and false finishes, of course. They were really playing up the Paul Heyman thing of, whose side is he really on? Who's he really there for? And toward the end, he throws the belt into the ring right in between both of them lying on the mat. And he yells, "You know what to do with it." And so they're both like looking at Paul, looking at each other, looking at the belt. Brock is able to get it. Usos come in, super kick him, knock it down. Screwy finish after that. And a new ref runs in and counts it out, and it was over. Yeah. So not the greatest of endings, but rumor is that Brock's going to be around for up until probably WrestleMania. So it's probably going to be a continuing story with him for a while. But honestly, I think this might have been the best Saudi pay-per-view yet. There were no old fogies flopping around for money. Might be one of the best pay-per-views of the year, actually, for WWE. Like, it was... I
don't know. Money in the Bank was really good.
Which one was it with the zombies? Because that was my favorite one.
That wasn't it. Hell in a Cell. Was it Hell in a Cell?
I don't remember. But anyway, it was pretty good. It was worth a watch. If you want to go back and watch it on Peacock, it's worth the watch.
You definitely have to check that out.
Especially the championship matches, all really, really good. And that Xavier Finn Balor match also, I would put that in there.
Well, a couple of things that I just very quickly noticed.
Yes.
The female referee had to wear like a really, really baggy referee shirt and long sleeves.
Yes.
Which I understand is like, oh, we have to do it for their culture, and I get that, and I respect that. But it's weird that they're touting themselves as this ultra-liberal, progressive group who want to respect women and, whatever. And there's like, but not in front of the Saudis. Just be cool, woman.
Look, they've been pushing since the first pay-per-view. They've been pushing to have more and more, at least female participation, because the first one they didn't have any women at all.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons they had that women's Evolution pay-per-view, all women, no nothing else, the very next month.
And then the next year they had Natalia and Lacey Evans each wrestle in a 5X t-shirt.
Right.
So it wasn't even their shirt. It just said Lacey Evans in pink.
So now we're up to 2 women's matches and a female referee. I mean, we're getting there.
Did the women's the women's matches? Did they have to wear?
They wore their full bodysuits with their t-shirt over it. Yeah.
Fun. I'm not
super big.
I'm not trying to start nothing.
Not too big. I mean, I agree with you.
I want to be respectful to everybody, but I'm also. It's kind of one of those like, it doesn't match up.
Right.
It just matches. It just shows like, we want to be respectful to women. We want to, push the women's evolution, but not if it means we lose that much money. Come on, guys.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. Also, people are really upset about the camels. The camels that were right next to the stage, because how else are we supposed to know they're in Saudi Arabia if we don't put camels by the stage?
How else would we know we're in the Middle East if the logo isn't a flying carpet onto your screen, which happened midway through?
But people are very concerned that they put camels next to the pyro and explosions.
Oh, you know what? That makes sense. Music. I get that.
But the camels didn't really seem all that bothered, at least not what I saw.
This is a normal Tuesday night for us, guys.
Yeah, this is just explosions and fireworks, man. Just another day in Jeddah. We are like so close to crossing a line, I can taste it. So on that note, we should probably break for a minute. But when we come back, we're going to be talking about so-called real athletes. So stick with us.
So-called real
athletes.
All right. Here we go.
I took a really big breath for that. Welcome! And welcome back to the Two Words Podcast. I'm still John and he's still Matt. And today we're talking about real athletes. And we're putting that in quotations because it's the title of our show, but also because I do think that professional wrestlers are athletes. It's just a different medium, But in some cases, those lines get crossed, and you have people who found success at a very high level of in another sport, and then came over and found success at a high level with professional wrestling. People such as Top Dollar, who recently moved up to Raw with the Hit Row,
the Hit Foundation,
the Hit Foundation. What's their name?
Hit Row.
Hit
right?
Row, yeah, Hit Row. He spent 5 years in the NFL bouncing between teams. Lex Luger spent 6 years in the USFL, graduated from the University of Miami as an offensive lineman.
I didn't know that.
That's how big Lex Luger is.
Wow. Or was.
And I want to clarify, because I know that probably every professional wrestler played some sort of sport.
Yeah.
But I'm not talking about like, Big E who played a year of college football. Like,
so we're not putting Rock in this thing.
I'm not downplaying that. No, well,
University of Miami, guys.
But yeah, the U. Ugh. As a Florida fan, I just threw up in my mouth a little bit. Just doing that was disgusting. But The Rock also, The Rock played professional football. It was in Canada, so it wasn't real.
I didn't even know that. Really?
Yeah,
he wasn't real.
He wasn't real. It was like the Quebec Admirals or something. Yeah, he won a Grey Cup, which is what they call their Super Bowl.
How did I not know that?
Yeah, he played. It was a very short time in the CFL. But there are a lot of athletes who went to a very high level.
Yeah.
Baron Corbin played professional football. Was mostly, I think, signed to practice squads, but was also a Golden Gloves boxing champion, which means that he was the best amateur boxer in the world, or in the United States at least.
That's interesting.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And he was also a lot of offensive linemen, which is weird because like offensive linemen are not built the same way as most of these guys. And like Baron Corbin, you think about all of that, it's like, oh yeah, because Baron Corbin really is athletic and he's a fantastic performer.
Oh, absolutely.
He's got a garbage character. but
he's a great performer, especially for his size. He's tall, but he's not bumbling.
He moves so fast. That thing that he does where he slides out of the ring and like slingshots himself around the pole, that is amazing. So like based on athleticism, I'd watch him in a main event of WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Like I really would. Commander Aziz played football in Germany.
I believe that.
And I believe he did a little bit in the United States, but not a heck of a whole lot. Ron Simmons, as we've discussed in an earlier show, played at the University of Florida State, or Florida State University, whatever. I don't care. It's not a real school. I'm sorry.
Everything you don't like isn't real.
It's true. I'm a University of Florida fan, so Florida State.
I heard uterus.
Uterus.
I'm a uterus.
I'm a uterus.
What kind of weird self-deprecating comment
it's a slang,
is that?
man. It's a slang.
Is it called uter you or uter us?
Uter you. But Ron Simmons was an all-American defensive end from Florida State, a member of the College Football Hall of Fame, the Orange Bowl Hall of Fame, which I didn't know existed.
I knew that.
And had his number retired at Florida State. He was drafted by the Cleveland Browns in 1981 and played for both the Browns and the Tampa Bay Bandits of the USFL. Like,
I don't know how I knew all that, but I knew all that.
That would scare me. If I was a running back for whoever, and I came around the corner, and there stood Ron Simmons, and he's just got a smile on his face because he knows he's about to crack my sternum. He just sits there and kind of laughs. He's like, just pow. Amazing. Let's see. Who else do I have on this list? Alexa Bliss. Some you may not know. Alexa Bliss was a professional bodybuilder.
Yes. Yep.
Mostly in the physique, I think, but that's still bodybuilding. She started doing that to combat an eating disorder.
Yeah. This is all coming back to me as you're saying it now. Yeah, I remember that too. Yeah.
She also got to a very high level of cheerleading. So she was like a Division I cheerleader, like competitively, which is also an insane sport that doesn't get credit for being a real sport. But you see that in her wrestling too. Like,
absolutely,
she can do all these jumps. She can get thrown all over the place, and she just gets back up.
She's strong.
She knows how to do it.
She's a firecracker.
Several. The sports you get from generally are football and mixed martial arts.
Right.
Which a lot of that started with Ken Shamrock, the world's most dangerous man.
There was someone even before that. Dan Severn.
Okay.
Dan Severn, who was one of the, I believe, one of the first UFC champions, or at least a very early on one. But back then, he would even bring the UFC title to tapings, to WWE. He would walk to the ring with it. Like, they would really hype it up, the fact that he was UFC champ. And, that would continue on, like with the brawl for all thing that they did.
which I do have that to talk about, because, you see a lot of athletes come over, and especially in the 90s and like early 2000s, you saw a lot of athletes come over, and one of those was the Brawl for All with Butterbean fought Bart Gunn in like a real shoot match. Like that was
all of it was. None of it was like they had hoped that they had assumed that Dr. Death was going to be the one that makes it there, but they let it be a genuine fight every single round.
Yeah.
And Gunn just happened to be like, okay. And he took them all out. And then
Bart Gunn, imagine the conversation where they're like, hey, we're going to have you challenge Bart Gunn or challenge Butterbean in a boxing match at WrestleMania 15. And he's like, oh, cool. So like, we're going to get to work together and I'm going to show him how to like fake a punch. And they're like, no, he's going to kill you.
He's going to try and kill you.
We want to stop paying you. So you're going to.
That nearly.
In 37 seconds.
He was like, he got punched and he became a mannequin. Like he just stood up straight and just fell over.
And there's a moment in that match where like he gets knocked down and he can get back up, but he's questioning if he should. You can see it in his face. Like he gets on one knee and he's just kind of staring at the ref for a minute like, I don't want to keep doing this. Please don't make me.
This was a mistake. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure Bradshaw got a concussion from his match.
Man,
like they just went straight.
That's dangerous.
Yeah. It was one of the most dangerous things the WWE did in the Attitude Era time. They just like, yeah, for real, go out there and box.
But then you also had Dennis Rodman and Karl Malone coming in WCW, and they read like Dennis Rodman was tag champs with Hulk Hogan.
Oh gosh!
And I would love
those weird celebrity matches.
There were a lot of really bad ones.
The Jay Leno and his band leader, Diamond Dallas Page.
That's terrible. Like. Man, we're gonna get in wrestling. We're really home. Yeah. No, well, but like, and the basketball players made some sense because TNT has always really kind of owned basketball.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like Karl Malone and Dennis Rodman. Like that was such an odd choice to make.
Right. Of all the wrestlers, there had to be.
Yeah. Because they were so like you got them in there and you're like, oh, they're not nearly as muscular and giant as you think they are on TV, especially when you're standing next to like Hulk Hogan and all those guys. Shaquille O'Neal wrestled in WWE and for AEW. A little more for AEW. Was not much with WWE. He had that one WrestleMania moment where him and the Big Show stared at each other.
Yeah.
And then that ended. Randy Savage played pro baseball.
Yes. Yeah. We
or almost played pro baseball.
Right. Nearly played pro baseball.
He was in their farm systems. Which I just always think like, because he was crazy, like, what if like somebody just made him mad enough and he picked up like a can of green beans and just chucked it at his head? Like, just like an outfielder just popped him, man. Let's see.
Mike Tyson was always in that.
Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson, you watched those?
Also both for WWE and AEW.
Oh yeah, he did. He did show up for both of them. I always watch those old Mike Tyson stuff, and I'm just like, I'm still questioning if he's going to go crazy because you never knew what you were going to get with Mike Tyson. You still see it in his face. He's just like he's just kind of looking around like maybe I have to punt them one. I have to punt them one right now. And I would never want to get hit by, like, I
love you. I have a lot of respect for you, but I wouldn't have any problem making orphans of your children.
I will punt you so hard.
Well, I still have a wife, champ. Yeah, well, I would assume that she would die from grief.
Now let's get into some of the more notable ones. Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that she was a mixed martial artist. She was a UFC champion.
One of the greatest.
One of the greatest women's UFC champions. But she was also a bronze medalist in Olympic judo.
I did not know that.
Yeah, she is a 6th Dan judo black belt, which means she's earned a black. What's up?
I thought you just cussed.
No,
6th Dan judo.
she's a 6th Dan judo black belt, which means she's earned 6 black belts in judo, essentially, or she's reached level 6 of judo.
Level 6 Dan.
And you can let's talk about Ronda Rousey for a minute, because I go back and watch some of those matches in preparation for this, and I don't think we gave her a chance
Oh, I totally did.
that we should have.
I was fully on board with Ronda Rousey.
I think the problem with Ronda Rousey, kind of the same problem with Baron Corbin, is that she was good in the ring. She was pretty good in the ring. She would have gotten better.
Yeah.
She leaned heavily on that judo. With a lot of her takedowns and throws. I think that her finisher should have been a scoop slam. Like, she should have just been given 12 hours with The Rock to do scoop slams for 12 hours. Just like, you were going to make this perfect. And I think she would have. I think the big problem that I had with Ronda Rousey was she wanted to do the Rowdy Piper gimmick. And everybody else in WWE wanted her to do the Rowdy Piper gimmick, but nobody is Rowdy Piper except for Rowdy Piper.
Yeah.
Like, nobody else is ever going to be able to pull that off. That is the one gimmick. You just might as well retire. It's never going to work. Like, it's never going to work again. So if she ever comes back, I might, if they give her a little bit of a character adjustment, might give her more chance than I used to. Let's see. Bobby Lashley was an MMA fighter. Was a UFC. I don't know if he was a UFC champion. Look that up for me. Was Bobby Lashley a UFC champion?
I'll look it up.
But he was also an amateur wrestler. He was like we said in the last show, he was going to be he was training to go to the Olympics. Before an injury involving an armed gunman came along. So that's fun. I've always thought that Bobby Lashley could probably do any sport he wanted to, just because he's 102% muscle. Like, he is nothing but trimmed muscle. What you got?
I'm not seeing.
I don't know if he was UFC. I know he was in UFC, and then I know he's in Bellator for a little bit.
He was in
had to have been
Strike
champion,
Force.
He's in Strike Force.
Titan Fighting Championship, Shark Fights, and other various promotions.
Yeah. You know,
But I'm not seeing any.
Jason David Frank was in Strike Force.
Bellator MMA also, most recently.
Yeah, because he was in TNA, and TNA
Right.
was letting their guys fight in Bellator because it was all owned by Spike in Paramount.
He's also been in numerous movies.
Jason David Frank fought in Strike Force, so maybe we could have seen that.
Bobby Lashley had a role in a movie called The Way of War, and his role was Tattooed Hispanic Man.
Why?
He was also a character named Lucius in a movie called Beatdown. Lucius. Let's see here.
This might just turn into a Bobby Lashley pod, guys.
Oh, I forgot that he was the guy that Donald Trump picked to represent him in the hair versus hair match.
Yep, that is.
At WrestleMania 23 against Umaga.
I can't find any pictures of a tattooed Hispanic man, but once I do,
Boy,
howdy, I am sharing it daily.
Okay, hold on. Here's a list of his championships. So that's a lot of wrestling ones. So he was the Shark Fights heavyweight champion once, and the Extreme Fight Night, the XFN heavyweight champion.
Okay.
Once. So those are his two. So he's had some championships, but not the UFC championship.
Okay, well that's fair. But he had some big name fights.
Yeah.
Also in UFC, I think the two of the big ones are Brock Lesnar,
Yes.
who was a good MMA fighter.
Good night he was.
Yeah. he was hardcore. When you beat Frank Mir, those are, and they're good matches too. It's kind of crazy like how good of like spectacle they were to watch. But a few things you may or may not know about Brock Lesnar. He was an NCAA Division I champion in wrestling out of the University of Minnesota. But he also was signed to the Minnesota Vikings.
Cheerleading squad.
And they made him wear the skirts. No, he was signed to the Minnesota Vikings. He went to the NFL Combine at age 27. And guess how fast? No, I might have told you. Guess how fast he ran a 40-yard dash.
Oh, you did say this the other day. It wasn't directly to me, but I overheard it. But how much? How long?
He ran a 4.47 40.
That's right. You were telling our friend Tyler.
A 4.4 40. JJ Watt ran a 4.8. And according to Paul Heyman, which who knows when that guy's telling the truth, it was like 2 weeks after he was in a motorcycle accident. He bench pressed 250 pounds like 30 times.
Good night.
Just popped one right after another. Can you imagine how scary that has to be? Mm-hmm. Just like he's putting on a uniform and everybody's like, it's the Vikings. Those guys. So, is that Brock Lesnar?
I saw him fold a guy in half.
Is that Brock Lesnar?
Eat him.
It's like that. It's like that John Mulaney bit. Is that Dean Cain? And he wound up not actually playing for the Vikings due to some disputes with some other players or whatever. But everybody seemed to really like him. He seemed to really. They said he really probably could have done a lot of good. And finally, for me, Goldberg. Because Goldberg played a lot of football, went to the University of Georgia, was drafted by the LA Rams in 1990. Bounced around, I think, in the USFL for a minute, and then he was traded to the Falcons. Played 2 years for the Atlanta Falcons, and then he fell victim to the expansion draft when the Carolina Panthers became a team, and so they had to open up all that, and the Carolina Panthers took him for their team, but he never actually played it down because Bill Goldberg holds a very interesting distinction, and that is that he's the first player to ever be cut by the Carolina Panthers organization.
Ooh,
the first.
Ooh. It's a bad accolade to have.
Yeah. But you look at old pictures of him playing football and you're like, oh, that is a scary human being.
Well, that's also why all of his early matches were so short, because he wasn't really a wrestler.
It was just him tackling people.
Yeah, he was chosen.
That's why they gave him the
size.
spear.
Yeah.
It was amazing. We have Chad Gable, who won a silver medal in the Olympics. We have obviously Kurt Angle, who won gold medal with a broken freaking neck. Let's see, Lawrence Taylor wrestling Bam Bam Bigelow at WrestleMania 9.
That happened.
Lawrence Taylor is kind of a crazy person too. Like, you never really knew what that guy was going to do. And
you did mention Ken Shamrock briefly.
Yeah.
And also Steve Blackman. Wasn't actually a professional athlete per se, but he was proficient in actual martial arts.
Yeah, he was, wasn't he? And finally, I think I have an athlete. I know there are a lot of athletes out there that people think could make the transition. One athlete I have in mind I would love to see join some sort of wrestling promotion is Richard Sherman. Currently of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He is the one you might remember was playing for the Seattle Seahawks, and in a divisional playoff game, I think it was the NFC championship game. He blocked Michael Crabtree, who was going up for a pass, and they did a post-game interview, and Richard Sherman lost his mind on this poor woman. Was like, that's what you get when you come up and mess with me, Crabtree. You can't do nothing to me. Like, everything. And immediately people were like, oh, get this guy a mic and just put him in a wrestling ring. I would love that. He's smart. He's athletic. I want to see it. Well, that's all we've got here at the Two Words Podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. Matt, do we have anything else? Do we have any fun things coming up with LTN Radio?
LTN Radio. Well, we just had LTN Con. If you happen to miss it and miss the sessions and everything, all those sessions, all the videos, all the breakouts and everything, those are all going to be on YouTube, I believe, this coming Monday on the Love Thy Nerd YouTube channel. So if you wanted to catch those sessions, you'll be able to. We're also going to air them at some point in the near future on LTN Radio. We don't know exactly how that's going to look yet, but they'll be on there. And for us, we got our first like official piece of merch coming out.
Oh yeah,
which won't be for sale per se, but
we're gonna give you some opportunities.
But we're gonna give you a chance to win the very first Two Words sticker.
You're gonna have to be you're gonna have to stay on me, because there's a chance I might say something stupid like send us a video of you power bombing your sister and I'll send you a sticker, and I'm sure there's somebody out there that would actually do it and I would get in a lot of trouble. So please do not power bomb your sister and send it to us at 2 Words LTN.
Wink.
Please don't. Please, really, please don't.
Wink, wink.
I have a newborn.
Wink.
I cannot afford to be sued. Well, thank you guys for joining us, and head over to LTN.com
Nope, that's not a thing.
LoveThyNerd.com.
There we go.
I don't know who I work for.
They keep trying to get that one, but it's being sat on and held for like $5,000, and they're just like, we're not going to pay for that.
Not going to pay $5,000. Love Thy Nerd's a good domain name. So head over to LoveThyNerd.com for all of your fun, nerdy needs, including this podcast, and tune in to LTN Radio for all of those podcasts that we have that nobody else can have. We're gonna take them all. But until next time, my name's John, his name's Matt, and if you're not down with that, we got 2 words for you.
Bye. Good clean show. And quick.
Somehow.